Hey everybody, we back again.
Back again. We're live.
There it is. I'm Spencer, and of course that's our licensed clinical therapist, Nazir.
Huh?
Been watching too much Robert De Niro. It's
Huh?
getting.
Been
All
watching too
right,
much, way too much.
and this is the Different Spectrums podcast. We talk about movies, shows, and the mental health aspects that surround them. We also try to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously. Also, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. So, what are we
We like
getting
a
into today?
good thumb. I like a good thumb.
You like a good thumb? That's good. I'm glad I can repeat that and doesn't sound terrible at all. All right. So, today we will be talking about the show Barry. We're going to be specifically talking about a couple clips. The first one being season 2, episode 1, where Barry has a flashback to where when he was in Afghanistan, I believe, and
Yep.
his first kill that he ever had. Then we're going to skip along to season 3, where he's going through a traumatic event and kind of disassociating. And so he sees a lot of people that we'll say that he's met so far. And there's a lot of talk between the desert and death versus the ocean and freedom and purgatory and what that kind of all means. We'll get into that a little bit later after we watch the clips. Also, some topics that we're going to probably talk about are fitting in, depression, yeah, and probably masking as well. Kind of goes
Masking.
along with that fitting
Yep.
in. So, we have a few topics to talk about, and we'll probably get into more after we watch the clip. Nazir, anything before we get into it?
Super excited to do this. It looks like the trend and what we've been doing is Mondays is me and Spence chopping it up, one of the scenes, and on Thursdays
Mhm.
releases will be the special guest always coming back. So it oscillates on those 2 days. So I just noticed the pattern. So heads up for that, folks. You'll see me and Spence on Mondays, me, Spence, and another partner in crime on
Mhm.
Thursdays.
Yes.
Continue to subscribe, add. We appreciate the donations as well. Looks like you can also donate on Instagram now as a gift.
Ooh.
And then, of course, check out the merchandise that we're doing. And then I will continue to drop more reels on that too. But much appreciated all the love. Continue to come to the show. We're going to get to a real quick commercial and then we're going to get into the scene. Let's do it.
Whoop,
Woody
whoop.
whoop. Whoop whoop whoop. Doo doo
Whoop, 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 whoop.
547.
Mr. Kuznova, but teaching's your life.
Janice was my life. Janice is my life.
Okay, no, Janice is your life. I understand, but I'm just saying that you know the things you tell us up here. You know that acting's good therapy. You know?
You actually heard something I said?
No, what I'm saying is that we could use this as an exercise, as a whole class, and we could use it so you could talk about your feelings.
You want me to talk about my feelings? This class was about you talking about your feelings.
All right. No, okay, yeah.
I've got an idea. Why don't you talk about the war, Mr. Human Icebox? Why don't you tell us about the first man you killed? Because that's what it would be like for me to talk about Janice. I didn't think so. Natalie? Bring my car around.
All right, it was outside of Sanjin. It's my first tour. I was on fire watch with my friend Albert. at an OP, and
Albert,
Yeah.
you want to take a look at this?
What do you see? Let me see. Nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, about 700 yards out, right?
See that?
Yeah.
we saw, what you call it, some suspicious activity. And
Albert was doing surveillance on the...
Keep going.
we weren't sure if we should engage or not.
Should we engage, sir?
I'm not sure.
And I asked if we should radio Lieutenant Hubble.
Should we maybe radio Lieutenant Hubble, sir?
Fuck no, you don't gotta radio him, man. Take the shot, dude.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. He says that's a green light to shoot the guy.
Look, you're gonna miss anyway, man. Just get the fuck up.
Oh, my shoulder. I forgot how these things kick back.
Jesus, Bergman, you got him!
Fuck are you shooting at?
Bergman just took out a sheepfucker from 700 yards.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Hey, there's more.
What?
Look.
Yeah, there's 2 on the rise. Looks like they're checking out the buddy. No way. No.
You killed them both, soldier.
I killed him. I killed someone. Oh, my God. Oh, God. I killed someone. I'll never be able to forgive myself.
Is that how it happened?
Oh, terrible bird.
Motherfucker! What? Oh! You fucking kidding me? He got him.
Both of them?
Smoke both those pieces of shit. Dude, this silent ass Barry here's a fucking stone cold killer, fellas, from 700 yards.
Jesus,
oh my God.
Fucking
What do you know? I was gonna take the bib off, but forget it.
Barry Bergman!
Barry.
Barry Bergman!
Barry.
Barry Bergman!
Barry. Is that what really happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow at the next class.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are back from watching our scenes from Barry. So the first clip that I want to break down is the clip where he's going back and revisiting the time where he first killed a person in Afghanistan.
As one does.
Yes, of course. Why not? When you're there, might as well live the life, right? So actually a little bit of a breakdown for Barry. So Barry's a show about a hitman who wants to become an actor. And he realizes this when he is about to do a hit on an actor / student from Gene Cusimano, I believe that's his name, one of his classes. And Barry just falls in love with the thought of acting and not being himself, because he was at a point where he was very depressed and also burnt out from being a hitman, which
It's hard work killing people, man. It's hard work.
I think at some point you probably should be burnt out, but that's just me. You know, whatever. And so after he falls in love with acting, he gets involved with this Chechen mob. We meet NoHo Hank, who's hilarious. And he was also in Gotham as Zaz.
Oh, yeah. That's where I knew him from. Zaz, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He was Zaz. So, yeah. And from there, actually, Ryan, who he was supposed to kill, was killed by the Chechens. And that kind of all rolls up in the last scene that we watch, but we'll get to that at some point. And so we're at this point where Barry is, he's talking about his first time killing a person. And it's a tough scene a little bit because we see Barry kind of going through it in his mind, and it's a completely different thing than what's being acted out on stage.
Yep.
Because the students that are actually acting out the scene think that, there's a lot more sympathy, I would say, especially when you're in, wartime. And that, like, oh no, I killed somebody. Oh my God, my life is ruined. But in actuality, he was celebrated for killing somebody, which in a way you could say that that kind of probably started his, that helped maybe fuel his
Kill
thinking
streak.
that he needs to kill people in order, for him to have like some type of purpose. A lot of things go in that. Especially with his father's friend Fuchs, who kind of recruits him to be a hitman after he comes back from the war, right? After he was discharged, but that's a whole other topic. And so, yeah, we're in this scene, and I wanted to bring this scene up because I felt like it was a good way of us kind of masking ourselves when we know that the truth is just going to make people run away and be scared, right? Because for Barry, this acting class is a way out of his normal life, which is all about killing supposedly bad people, but we see that that's not really the case for all of them. But yeah, I like this clip because it does show us, do we kind of lie when we need to and then we don't need to? In this case, I think this was probably a need to lie. You can't be like, oh yeah, we just, I shot some people and it was fine. Whatever. Didn't really feel anything about it. I'm like, okay, cool. But then also we see with his friend that he was calling like, this quiet ass dude like is a stone cold murderer. Everything, you're just like, so he kills people and then now he's celebrated. Whatever. So what did you think of the clip, Nas? And how would you I'm going to ask you just how you feel about the clip, and then we'll go into other questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, you had me watch this like a long time ago, and then I put it off,
Right.
like I put everything off in life, and I finally got to it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is good." Um,
Mm-hmm.
Barry's complex. Like you
Yes.
said, we brought it up because he feels very neurodivergent to us, very much so on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
with his issues with speech, emotions, identification of the emotions, expressing them. Um, there's some interpersonal issues with him communicating with other people and him being weird and awkward and stoic. So in this scene, they immediately like, "Hey man, why don't you act out your trauma scene? Because you're just the ice box of the group." And I'm like, okay, so that's a dog whistle, what we call for being neurodivergent, is people saying that, you know, the stoic or repressed, are quiet, reclusive, isolated, antisocial. And so he starts to go into the spiel because he wants the class to continue going. Like you said, that's his safe haven, that's his place. He actually
Mm-hmm.
feels connected to like the people in there and friends.
Right.
And he finds a woman there that he really loves and enjoys. And, you know, she's a whole nother bag of issues, but still.
Yeah.
Um, but he doesn't have to put on this hyper masculine thing. He's not hurting anyone. He gets to have fun and just do stuff. So I think it's really cool for him to like protect that
Mm-hmm.
by talking about his story. Obviously, it's intriguing. He doesn't tell the whole version of the story, and he's like looking at people. So he's, you know, think about my neurodivergent students. One the other day, I said, sometimes you be saying shit and then looking at me to see how I react. You're doing that, aren't you? She's like, maybe. I'm like, yeah, because you're saying some wild ass shit to see if I react. Um, Funny stuff. Some people say concerning stuff to see if I react. So Barry's
Mm-hmm.
seeing how people react because he doesn't want to be judged. He doesn't want to be seen as a psychopath or as a killer, right? As like a bad person, right? Crazy, you know. And then they act out that thing and he just goes with it. So he does a lot of his life, he just goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Goes with it in the military, goes with it when he's younger, goes with it with Fuchs, and he gets manipulated into hurting all these people because you're my special boy
Yeah.
and you've got a talent and I can use that talent. We can live a good life. So he gets manipulated by a straight up narcissist.
Yeah.
I very much so dislike the girlfriend in the thing because she's kind of like a terrible person. Fuchs is like legit
Yeah.
terrible person.
Oh yeah, and he keeps on throughout the series. He keeps on, even though Barry is like, "I'm gonna kill you, like legit. I'm gonna kill you," and he's just like, "Come on, man! Like, what is this
I
all
love you.
about?"
Yeah,
Even
I'm
though he
taking care of you.
betrays him multiple times,
Yeah.
and like tries to sell him, almost sells him out a lot of the time. But then also, if you see in the beginning of the show, like Barry isn't living in like great conditions. Like you could, like he Fuchs earns a lot of the money and keeps a
Yes.
lot of the money.
And does
And
nothing.
so he just gives him enough to where he can live a little bit and make him think like, yeah, you're doing a lot. Yeah, you're getting this money and you can do whatever you want. Sure. Why
Terrible
not?
man. He gets taken
Yeah,
advantage of so many times.
he does.
And in some of these other social situations with his girlfriend too, he's getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Poor dude. And I get it. He's a killer. You know, obviously I feel weird doing some of these episodes, but it is what it is these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many shootings that are going on. And so, right, there's going to be a
True.
couple, you know, gunfire scenes in this. It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's also a neurodivergent individual, very complex individual, lots of trauma, many different things and relationships. I
Right.
like the clip. If you're in therapy, this is kind of how therapy goes, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say, you know, I'm asking you to talk about stuff, and that's what we do. We act it out. The way he
Right.
goes back into his mind and starts reliving it, that's what therapy is when we're talking about traumatic events. And so when I was
Right.
actually watching this scene, because you wanted me to watch Watchmen like 2019, so I'm finally getting to it. Um, and I watched it, and she has to take these pills that her grandfather gave her called nostalgia. And later on, the person that makes those, True, um, said everyone wanted to take these pills and just relive the most traumatic life events. They just kept reliving all the horrific stories in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very true with a lot of clients. We usually relive most of the horrific things, bad things, anxiety things, trauma things. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Rarely do we replay all the good stuff.
Right.
The mind thinks that if we replay the bad stuff, it'll protect us. And so with this character, I don't know if he has like high anxiety or he has depression, but I don't know if he has high anxiety.
That's the thing. He's very calm and collective when it's in certain moments. I think season 3 he had more anxiety than anything because he felt like everything was kind of crashing down.
Yes.
And that's why, like, there was a scene where he actually was freaking out at his girlfriend.
I remember that.
Yeah, about, I think it was like a certain scene, or no, it was because he wanted Jean to be hired on her show, and she was like, "Yeah, I can't do it," and he was like, "No, you have to do it. You have to do it." And she just couldn't do it, and then he like got really fucking mad,
and then they break up.
Yeah, and oh my god, that breakup was, oh my god, that was so cringy. He was just like, "Yeah, I'll kill somebody for you." Or no, you know what he did? I remember now. He was like, I will slowly take certain things away from their apartment and make them think that they're going crazy just for you. She's like,
what? I'm like, girl, don't act like you ain't just as crazy as him.
I know, right? But yeah, so I totally agree with the fact that Barry just has certain things that are really going through his mind. And I think, like I said, in season 3, his anxiety is really kind of building up because he feels like he has to pay back Jean, for certain things that he did. Spoiler alert, he kills Jean's girlfriend. So
yeah, no, everything is, there's so much entrapment in this. There's no way someone like him doesn't feel pressure. I guess some folks could wonder, why did we pick these scenes?
Of course.
Right, so we're supposed to pick these scenes to break them down because they're fun. There's a lot of mental health stuff, break down the characters. But if we're actually going to therapize it in a metaphorical way, this is what many of my clients feel like. Right. Like you said, they're wearing the mask and they're going along with what people do and how they react, and he's being celebrated. But then he knows that that's cool with like the boys and the homies. But then if it's with like regular folks, civilians, that's not going to be seen as cool. He just kind of goes and assimilates on what he needs to do. He's taken advantage of in many different ways. When he's backed against the corner, he doesn't know what to do and he fucking freaks out and he rages. These are all pretty relatable things for a lot of people. Barry's just another neurodivergent individual that gets put in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong influences. And so everyone, to me, in my mind, is born pretty good.
Yeah.
And then things happen, and things happen, then things happen. And next thing you know, you're killing your best friend's girlfriend.
Yeah. And that's the thing also when we talk about the show is, yes, there are plenty of funny scenes that we could be doing. And all of that. Plenty. It's a very funny show. But I think all of these moments really bring back to Barry himself as a character and what it's been building up to. And I think that's what Bill Hader, one of the creators of the show, was really going for. It's not just a comedy. It's more of trying to flesh out somebody that, like a murderer, and what he's doing, right? And how he has to go through things. I mean, he's just a regular human like everybody else, but obviously he has a certain past, present, actually. He keeps on doing it. So
yeah. What were the other questions you had, homie?
I would say, so you've seen all of the show. Who is a character that you totally relate to in a way? Is it Barry? Is it more of like NoHo Hank, kind of like the comic relief in a way?
Yeah.
Or maybe is it Jean, where you are trying to like help mold these people but do it in a certain way? Jean,
so
he has this stuff too. So
I will say this for all my neurodivergent folks that are paying attention. Well, everyone. Not everyone. Doesn't really matter. We all have different parts of ourselves. So obviously different parts of myself relate to certain characters.
Of course.
There's some parts where I'm Barry and more stoic and reserved and more itemized, more militant, more tactile, tactician. And there's parts of me where I'm the teacher and I'm molding these individuals. There's parts of me where maybe I am a little bit narcissistic, because all of them are narcissistic in this fucking show.
Yes, but that's also actors.
Yeah, well, there you go. And then there's parts where I'm NoHo Hank, where he's just kind of vibing, chilling, doing his thing. Like, you would assume that character was going to be like the biggest piece of shit ever, and he's just like the most lovable character, even though he's like a mobster. Yeah. He's gay too in the show, isn't he?
He is gay. Yeah.
Thought so. Yeah. So great lines,
Oh.
minds think alike. Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. But yeah, it's all of them I have little pieces of. And that's everyone else that's watching these shows.
Yeah.
You don't always have to identify with just, oh, I'm everything in this character. No, you're probably like one or two things in the character, one or two things in this character. So when I'm working with clients, sometimes I'll have them, especially my neurodivergent folks, like, who do you relate to? And like the movies, music, whatever it is, right? Who is it? And they'll give me like 3 or 4 people, right? I've had some students give me an itemized list of like anime characters, then they have personality traits too.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so this character's neurodivergent as shit. She's like, yep. I was like, okay, just making sure we both know. I remember my one girl that told me that she related to One Punch Man. That's why we did the video on it. Because she's like, what's the fucking point? I don't really understand. Like, life seems meaningless and pointless. You just show up and you do shit. And I don't get it. And a lot of neurodivergent people get lost in that existential, what the hell is the meaning of life? So it just depends. I love when people ask these questions. Me, I would assume it's multiple of them. I'm definitely never the girlfriend. She is.
Yeah, no, she's a piece of shit.
She's just a terrible person.
Great
I'm
actor.
sure she has this. Great, yeah. I'm sure she has her own trauma issues.
Because she made me want to hate her so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which I bet she's probably like a sweet person and shit, but like the character overall, just the worst.
The worst. The worst. So narcissistic, so borderline-y, so emotionally manipulative.
Yeah.
And like Barry would literally do anything for her, and he just gets treated like trash. Anytime I see any of my neurodivergent humans, doesn't matter what gender, I'm just like, what are we doing? I guess this segues into something else.
Yeah,
whenever I see these characters, and I see a lot of Barrys now, right? Because it's a specialty. Obviously, none of them have the murderer side. But there'll be a lot of unhealthy relationships, and some of my clients think that's just normal, or it's their first relationship because they didn't really have a lot of friends and they're like late bloomers, or they don't really have an identity and they feel like their identity is whatever their partner's is, and so they just end up becoming their partner, and then they end up talking to me, and I'm like, whoa, you're not getting treated well. Sometimes they don't even know, Spence. I'll be talking to them and it'll be like 2 years later they'll tell me about someone and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This can no longer happen. This is not good. They're like, but what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, you need to consult with other people about this. That way you don't think that I'm being biased. Well, maybe that's just because I told you all the bad things. So tell me some good things. But the things that you told me is not what friends or partners do. We need to make a change. I've been in some weird situations where I'm like, oh, it's a piece of shit. But you can't just tell your client, hey, baby daddy's a piece of shit.
Just so you know. Just so you're aware. Piece of shit. Probably should change that. No.
Yes. Oh my God. I've had that conversation all the time. I literally just had it a few hours ago.
Oh, there you go.
Where I was like, they were like, well, why? We put a timestamp for the relationship for the summer. I said, yes. Well, what am I supposed to be looking for until the summer? I said, we've already talked about this. It's like, I don't understand why people forget what we talked about. We made an itemized list on how you want to be treated and feel, how you want to be treated and feel. Some things you want to be better, some things you want to be less. We know what direction it's supposed to go. What do I think is going to happen? I think that there won't be much change, and I think that you'll go your separate ways. Why do you say that? Because currently right now you're unhappy. So you think when you're married with children, you'll feel better? Because you have a hard time bringing up these difficult conversations. And so if you, well, I don't feel safe communicating these things. Well, that's not a good sign. Well, that's not a good sign. If you can't even communicate some of the easy things, what are we doing? The person's not a bad person. It's just they're not right for each other.
And that's the thing. I think people really just want to fall in love just so easily. And they think like that's the only thing that can, like, oh, I love them. Okay. And they're not good for you. Why does it matter? Like they just think that love is like the only thing that they need to like keep people going. But no, you need it's a working relationship. That's how
It
it
does.
goes. You're supposed to talk through things. You're supposed to be able, even if you're uncomfortable, you're supposed to have that conversation with people, or at least feel comfortable having that
To have the
conversation.
conversation. Yes.
Yes, at least to have it. And so I think a lot of people just get stuck in the I love you of everything. And I've had the same thing. I've talked about one of my friends on the podcast
Yep.
and how she's in a crappy relationship, but yet she's just like, it's somebody and I'm not alone and all that. And I'm like, that's not good. You need to, you know what? Sometimes being alone's okay. Being alone's okay.
And I think that's where Barry hits the crossroads. He's
Yes.
always been alone unless he finally finds someone that's very attractive and she's good at her craft. She gasses
Yeah.
him up about a few things without actually
Yeah.
wanting anything from him
Yeah.
in the beginning.
But that's the thing though. Actually, I just rewatched it and they were coming back from like the bar or whatever. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay, I'm not gonna like invite you in. He's like, yeah, I know. I just wanted to walk you to the door. And she's like, oh. And then she's like, well, I mean, do you want to come in? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go. All right, see ya. And then he leaves. And then she's dumbfounded. Oh, like, this motherfucker, is he trying to play me? Like, is
No,
he?
so he's very respectful, very kind, very
Yeah.
considerate. So many other
that's the
people will,
thing.
other people will think that he's not interested, or that he doesn't want to sleep with them. Right? They'll take it as a personal attack because he wasn't more pushy.
But I also think that he's okay with just having like just that amount of affection. It's not really like a physical thing either. It's more of just like, you know what? She likes to do acting. I want to do acting. Cool. That's fine. Sweet. See you tomorrow
Yeah.
in class.
Yep.
And
Likes the
that's
connection.
thing. Yeah.
The community. Eventually, in a couple of weeks, we'll do a scene from Ready Player One where they talk about connection, community, being with real people and not lost in the metaverse, not being lost in video games or work or jobs. We can use that one very metaphorical from that one. Barry looks like he's lost and just assimilates to what other people do. And you see that in the first scene that we break down. And I feel like a lot of us neurodivergent folks can vibe with that so often. My students will come to me. I have no personality. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am is fucking for everyone. But my students that are neurodivergent will come in. I have no personality. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? We all have a personality. Goddamn it! Like you have a personality. Well, like no, I don't even know. I'm like, no. I can name off like 50 different things right now in this moment. Even if you stole some of these from other people or you mirror or mimic things, it's still molded into your personality now. But it's so often. And so what we end up doing is I end up having to support and guide people through tons of relationships, friends, classes, dating. The best time for me to work with my neurodivergent students is when they're making friends and when they're dating. Because we can collect so much data and help them stay in good ones, get out of bad ones, experimentation. You know, what do they like in people? I asked someone the other day, what do you like? So go home. I want you to do this list. I would do the same thing for Barry. I want you to put down your last partner, your current partner, and like a couple friends, a couple other partners. You write all the things that you like about them, all the things that you disliked about them. And it's supposed to be more personality traits, more things on how they make you feel. A lot of deeper things. Man, this motherfucking student put down like they have nice eyes, they have soft lips. I'm like, man, this old sexual ass writings. Like, man, what you think you writing? She said I was looking at him while I wrote this. I'm like, I can tell.
Yeah. His eyes just burned into my soul. Like, all right, Jesus.
Yeah,
Calm
with
down.
the old pouty lips. I'm like, what the fuck am I reading? It's quite wonderful when we do that exercise to find out what we like and don't like in our friends, partners, and then we throw our parents in there. A lot of things that we like in our parents, what we like in our partners. A lot of things that we hate and despise in our parents, we usually despise in our partners. And so to find someone is you want to find all these good things that coagulate. And so this human was fun. They liked funny. They like tall. They like tall individuals. They like funny individuals, but also kind and passionate. They like them passionate about whatever. It doesn't matter what the fuck they're passionate in.
Thought you were
Just has to
talking
be
about me till you said
something
kind and passionate. I was like,
kind
oh,
and passionate.
yeah,
Oh,
never
well, I'm
mind.
passionate when I want to be.
I got tall and funny. Compassionate?
Nah, you're passionate about a bunch of other random shit.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. You're like, fuck
Shut
you,
up.
man.
This is a fucking character. Calm the fuck down. All
Yes. So
right? I'm
that's
masking right now.
I know. We're simulating. It's like when someone called me a bro the other day.
Yeah.
I was playing with a squish toy, like neurodivergent as fuck, playing with a squish toy in the hallway. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Are you smoking a vape in the hallway?" So you're really doing the bro thing all the way out, acting like a college student. I'm like, "This is a squish toy."
I just wanted to squish my toy.
I know. People I'm like, I'm not acting like a fucking student. Don't you judge me, you fucking piece of shit.
Also, the balls to just be like, you vaping? Like, who the fuck is vaping in a hallway right
Why
now?
would I be
Like,
vaping in the hallway while my boss is in front of me?
no sense.
I know. It makes no sense. Funny thing, but I kind of did what Barry did the other day. No, the murder stuff.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's trying to get people to like him and all that stuff, right? In the military, so he does those things, right? Well, we had to take some pictures, some photography things for the websites and all that, and everyone had to be serious or act normal for the pictures. I don't know how to act normal for these type of pictures. I was just cracking jokes left and right.
Bro, I can't do, like, you know me. I can barely do serious photos.
Oh, I know. And then imagine if you're doing it for like a website and all that stuff. I was just talking shit.
Oh yeah, that's the best time to talk shit is when you're supposed to be very serious, very like, oh yeah,
professional.
Stick up my ass.
Yeah,
it's just
they were
like, what's up, motherfucker?
They're like, act like you're having a therapy session. And so one of the other therapists like, yeah, I just broke up with my boyfriend. I said, yeah, he can probably find better.
That's good.
I was saying someone was nasty shit. They're like, nah, just walk down the hallway and act normal. And like, I was supposed to be the student, they were the therapist, and I flicked him off.
That's good.
Oh, it was fun. I had some good times. And then we were sitting down at the conference table having a thing, and they were talking about people and how they're tall. I said, let's rank people by their worth. My boss looks at me like, this is not acceptable. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go back in my box. Put my leash on. Walk me around the hall. You heard that.
All right.
So yeah, first scene, quite wonderful. Assimilation, masking, a lot of neurodivergent folks do it.
Yes.
Great metaphor. Also, it's his origin story. There's some trauma that builds in there. His life goes into a different trajectory after that moment.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, that is not a happy scene for him because he does not like the way his life went.
No. And that's why when they have this whole show about them telling their stories and everything, Barry's like, can I do a different story? Because he understands that's not the story that he wants to tell people. Because yes, the trajectory, but then also, if anybody like found out like the truth about it, then he would actually, then he would lose everything once again. And that's where right now he's really doing everything to survive and not really live a life. He's trying to just cover everything up about him being a hitman, about him, doing certain things to keep people out in certain ways. And so throughout the show now, you just see him trying to cover everything up and like running to do it all. And then we see finally at the end of season 3 that it comes to a head. And with that, I think that's where we can kind of get into the next scene. So in the first season, Barry kills Ryan and an old military buddy. And so skip to season 3 where the wife of Ryan poisons Barry. And so he gets poisoned and she thinks he's dead and all that. And he's not. But I think he's at the point where he's like, on the brink of death. I think
Yeah.
he's on the brink.
Yeah.
And then it shows him walking out of the house, and then all of a sudden, I love the because I love the cinematography. I don't know how they did it. I would love to find out how. He starts walking, and then all of a sudden you see and hear just like the beach and water flowing, and then it's like in the neighborhood. It was amazing. I don't know how they
Yeah.
did it, but it looks fantastic. And then it goes to him being on this beach, and he sees like this group of people, and then he walks towards them, and it's all the people that he's killed. And the thing about it is that none of them recognize who he is. And so Bill Hader, he talks about how the desert is death in the show Barry. Like we talked about before, we talked about how his first kill was in the desert. Then there's another scene where he's like hallucinating or having a dream, and he's in the desert and then walks up to Fuchs, and then they hug each other and they embrace each other. Once again, that could be the sign of like just death, because Fuchs brings that with him. He makes him kind of do those hits, not makes him, but manipulates him to get him to do it. And then he also talks about how the ocean is significant to freedom for the show. There was a scene with Ryan where they're at like the carnival on the pier, ocean and everything, and he's enjoying his time with him. But then, and then he has to kill him by the end of that. I love this scene because it does kind of put into perspective the ocean, but then also kind of purgatory at the same time, because he sees Ryan and Ryan sees him, and he just doesn't know who he is. Ryan doesn't know who Barry is at all. And that could be just, in death, like we kind of forget things. And while we're on our way to maybe, heaven or hell, I guess it depends on, where you end up. But then we also see the father of Ryan, the first guy who Barry was supposed to kill in LA. And then he eventually kills himself because, the death of his son got to him way too much. So I love the scene just for the imagery and just the overall message kind of what it sees for the show of Barry, and kind of like where he's really gone to in the story overall. But yeah, so with that, what do you think of the scene, Naz?
I thought, I'm like, man, you know what? This reminds me of, one day Spencer will be Ryan.
I'm gonna get shot in the face
By me.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you the Chechens in this situation? Because the Chechens kill him.
No, who? I thought, who's the guy in the car for the second scene that we
That
did?
was the father. That was
No,
the
no,
father
no.
of Ryan, the guy.
Who's the guy that he shot in the car in the desert?
Oh, fuck it. Oh my God.
That's a different
guy.
I'm mixing up the guys.
His friend.
Yeah, from the military.
Yeah. Yeah. That was Chris.
Oh, different guy. Well, I'm gonna shoot him too. So that'll be Colin.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. Appreciate that. Why did you say that?
Yeah.
Pop.
Scenes. Ocean, liked it. Cinematography was solid. I think it's interesting to see what you brought up about the water. So the water could be seen as life, because the desert was seen as death, because he's killing people there, but he's also burying people there in the desert. And so there could be something to do with
the thing, though.
Life being giving.
With Bill Hader, he didn't say life; he said freedom, which I thought was interesting. Right? You could say,
So maybe freedom to him just
life.
means. Freedom to him could be death.
It could be
because they're all
he
dead.
Finally doesn't have to live through this shit anymore, and doesn't have to, you ever seen like one of those old school like cowboy movies where anti-hero or whatever has just been through hell, and he finally gets like peace and tranquility after he like dies and stuff like that. It might be something like that, to where
Could be.
kind of like John Wick or some shit.
Yeah, it could be. Because right, he's at the end of the road there. He's at the water. But the thing is when Barry's there, he doesn't look like he's at peace to me. He's just kind of walking around, confused
Yeah.
on what's going on.
I also think that might be because he's halfway through being alive and dead. He's not dead yet.
I also
And
feel
so-
like he has
and
unfinished business.
That too, because at that point, he was trying to make everything right with Jean, and at that point, he wasn't really even caring about his relationship. He was kind of mainly just focusing on Jean.
Yep.
Maybe because he saw him as like a father figure, or maybe because he just saw something like the light in him, and he saw like innocence through him, maybe. But yeah, so I think he didn't really have that, like, and he remembered everybody
Mhm.
because like I said, I think he was still alive in that scene. And so it's like, why would I can remember everybody, but like I said, I think once you die, it's like you kind of forget everything. You're not really you anymore. You're just there.
Yeah. No, he was kind of going through it and reliving things.
Right.
It was almost just like a dream, right?
Mhm.
So the scene, to me, I thought it was a very good metaphor for folks that go home at night and start to replay things in their mind. So
Right.
with anxiety, people usually when they're doing a lot of stuff. I've had clients this
Mhm.
week doing a lot. I said, "How's this week?" He said, "Good." I said, "Why?" Because I've been so busy, I haven't had any downtime to be alone, unless none of the scary thoughts came to me because I'm just distracted.
Mhm.
I said, "Okay, so your ADHD has a lot of things to play with, and thus it's not going to attack your brain and think you're a piece of shit and going to die alone. So that's good." Also, some of my students don't like being alone because then they feel worthless or like that no one loves them or wants them, and they start to get creepy about some things. Some of my students get suicidal in those moments. Some of them start to self harm and do some things. But when folks are busy, they tend not to think about those things. But when they do, our brains will start to spiral. And when our brains spiral, it's like we talked about from The Watchmen, we tend to go towards those more negative thoughts. And so a lot of my
Right.
neurodivergent folks, they'll get maybe latched onto a thought and now, boom, that's it. The hyperfocus goes. We're going to take that hyperfocus and then become obsessive and tank.
Mhm.
Now, with some of that, I'll have that OCD response where the obsessions, the thoughts, the obsessions, or whatever they're on, the thoughts, then they have to do a compulsion. So, what is the compulsion? The compulsion could be texting your partner for reassurance. It could be doing something in the house to clean, get regimented. It could be to dissociate and stare out just at the wall. It could be the compulsion to play video games, to music. Or it could be you just keep going further and further and further and further. That obsessive overthinking at nighttime, I just thought about the beach. I'm like, this feels like someone overthinking. Everything's peaceful and quiet, and they're just chilling there. And next thing you know, boom, all these faces appear. And now they have to think about all these socially anxious or embarrassing or obligations. That's what I thought about. It seemed like a perfect dream that shifted to a nightmare because their brain was too quiet.
Right.
And when people's brains get quiet, that's when all the crazy shit comes. That's why a lot of my students don't like meditation, because as soon as I get them to calm their mind, boom. When I'm doing meditations with neurodivergent folks, it's quick, couple minutes. It's very active in what's going on. I'm not just trying to get them to fall asleep.
Right.
So that's what I was thinking about. Is that doom spiral? I was also thinking about Barry and all those humans and how a lot of us do this autism replay. It's not a real thing. I just coined this shit like 5 minutes ago.
There you go.
Yeah, autism
Trademark.
replay. It's where we replay something over and over and over. So it's not necessarily the doom spiral where it's an anxious thought. We just replay the events of the day, the conversation that we just had, and we'll just think about it over and over and over. It becomes obsessive. So Spence is probably like you when you just had these interviews for the jobs. You start to go over and over and over. What did I do? What did I talk about? How to perfect it? Neurodivergent person will go on that train and they'll go on that train for a day, 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, still thinking about this shit.
Yeah, it's what
So,
we get obsessive about it, man. It's intense.
yeah,
I won't sleep for some days when I go over things like that. I just recently did that interview at Baylor though, and
yeah,
I did not doom spiral at all because I was so confident in it. I mean, I obviously thought about it for the next day, and then I had to think about like 50 other fucking things because now I'm in this imagination mode where I have to visualize a completely different life and make up all these fictional things. Like, my God,
right.
did I just make an entire world in my mind?
This is fantastic.
Literally.
Flying cars,
Oh, it was intense. Dude.
self-lacing shoes.
For the next 3 days, my dad's like, "You're dissociating, aren't you?" I'm like, "Huh?" Staring off
Yeah,
into space, creating a different world, uh,
of
with
course.
so much more money. Oh my God. And I feel like that's what Barry did there, right? He was poisoned and dying, but he would create this whole new world, this purgatory, and he's seeing all these people and interactions and things, and he's experiencing different emotions. And he go waves at his boy. They just got done killing a couple episodes ago, well, a couple seasons ago, and he's like, "Why would he wave at you? Even if he did recognize you, you shot him in the head, bro."
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It was just like you didn't know if he knew him or if he was just ignoring him because because he killed him.
Correct. Yeah, they leave it very generalized. You
Yeah,
can't really get anything
yeah.
from it. You don't know what's going on.
I like it. Like for the most part, I hate like open-ended endings. I really do. Like
Yep.
I hate that because I just like it's up to your imagination. It's like no, just tell me
No.
what happens.
It's like the
Don't
end
do
of
that
Sopranos. Did he die or did he live?
Everybody's like, he died. It's like, you don't fucking know, though. You don't know.
You never
You don't
know.
know.
Bastards.
Yeah. I know. Goddamn HBO. Always with your open ending shit.
HBO. So that was my thing with that scene.
Okay.
If you have any more questions, we'll go with that. And then we have the diagnosis and treatment thing.
Okay. I mean, how do you talk to people that have more of a religious upbringing? It's like, obviously you want to treat everybody the same. Fair. But at the same time, a lot of people are very passionate about like their faith and things like that. And I'm thinking about that because, this is kind of a purgatory scene that we're seeing here. We're seeing a lot of people who may be on their way towards the afterlife and things like that. So what is kind of your approach, especially as a therapist, towards, people who are more on the religious side, even though you're trying to break down their mind, by themselves?
Yeah. So you tie it all in, right? I'm not scared to go there. Some therapists are scared to go literally anywhere. I had a student talk to me the other day. She's like, "This is TMI." I'm like, "I've heard everything a million times over. It is not TMI." So they said a few things. I'm like, "It's completely fine.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. We say the word sex in this office. It's okay. Okay. We're all adults here." Obviously, I worked at 2 Catholic schools. Religion was brought up. I've worked with seminarians as well at these schools, becoming priests, and so religion is brought up. I've worked with a lot of progressive kids, and I've worked with a lot of conservative kids, right? I've got some kids that come in there with shit I don't really vibe with and believe in. I got some that, I'm all on board for, and then we can talk about it and laugh. I got some that, they may question. I got a human I questioned the other day. I'm like, "You one of them racist kids? I can't tell. Like, I feel like you're not, but like, also I feel like everything you just said may equal racism. But I can't tell. But I think you're a good person."
Oh.
Yeah, I think they're a good person, so I put them back on the schedule. Yeah. It's fine, right? People come into me, say I'm like deeply rooted in my faith, whether it be Christianity or Islam, doesn't really matter. And so we talk about it, and we talk about how God navigates things in their life. What are the rules, morals, and ethics, values, commandments that they go by? What's acceptable, not acceptable? It happens when I talk to couples about marriages and like getting divorced. I I was talking with couples about contraception and then how that's not really cool with a lot of my more Christian students, more conservative students, completely fine. So we were talking about like family planning. We did some family planning the other day. And it's completely fine. It's in my wheelhouse. When we get to the purgatory related stuff and like life and death and all that, so I just listen to them and kind of let them navigate it. Talk about what are they scared of, where do they think that they're going to go. It's usually more what is the meaning to life than what are they worried about afterlife. And then I usually have them consult with their pastor, minister, priest, and get some pastoral counseling. So I don't believe that I have all the answers. So why the fuck would I speak on things I don't know? So I will refer and defer to the person in charge of their spiritual guidance. So then we kind of tag team it off of that. Because that's more of a spiritual guidance thing. I'll get in there and talk about some stuff. It's interesting. I got some students that will gravitate more towards religion while in therapy, if it comes up, which is not often. And then I got some students that are discerning away from it. And they're discerning away from their families' viewpoints on religion. Because many of my kids will grow up in very conservative or very, very staunch Christian, deeply Christian households. And they'll still be conservative and they'll still be Christian, but they're a little less intense. They're a little less. They'll become more like the holiday religious. You're right. They back off of like all day, every day, and praying all the time. Where they, it's part of their life and they're spiritual, but it's also not the biggest factor.
Right.
A lot of my students also will start to question religion and their beliefs and philosophies when they start to get more educated. They start to see some of the shady things that happen in religions. And we're not just talking about like, manipulation. We're talking about, people that have died in the name of God. We're talking about a lot of different things about masculinity and men ruling. There's a lot of shady stuff that goes on. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the anti-LGBTQ things too, and how some of my clients will have to find a church that's good for them, because it's not the religion that's persecuting them. It's the people that are practicing it that's persecuting them most of the time. So we navigate those waters. Can be very tricky waters. Sometimes when I'm referring clients that are LGBTQ and are religious, I'm making sure that I refer them to someone that is like accepting.
Right.
Because, I don't know. And then sometimes when I have coworkers that are LGBTQ, gay, trans, I'm like, so where do you fall on the spectrum of like allyship? Because I need to refer you to someone, but they have a different identity than yours, and I don't want you to like hurt them, but they're more specialized in what you need. And so I'm like, it's a thing that gets brought up and talked about. Religion, as long as you're not scared about it, it's awesome. It's usually discerning out, questioning their family, wondering what's the meaning of life, or why is life so hard? Why is God allowing this to happen to people? Why did God allow me to get hurt in this way or traumatized in this way? Why did God take my mother from me, my friend from me? Why do these people have cancer? It'll be a lot of like resentment and anger, and then we start to like process that, talk about it. God never gets brought up in my office if they're happy with God. If they're happy with their religion, it doesn't really get brought up. It's something that I know is in the room. It's usually when there's some discontent in their life and some existential issues, that's when it gets brought up.
Right.
The purgatory thing, I've yet to have many of those questions. And I think if I have, I've deferred.
That's fair. I mean, purgatory doesn't really get brought up a lot nowadays, especially because I think the Catholic Church is just like, yeah, no, that's not a real thing. Purgatory is not a real thing. So
I think it gets brought up subtly when my students are asking me, am I a piece of shit? Asking me if they are. Do you think I'm a bad person? I'm like, I don't know. Are you? They're like, oh my God, why would you say that? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you are a bad person. I'm like, well, no, maybe you are a shitty person. And they're like, why would you? I'm like, let's be honest. I tease some of them. None of us are all good. That's so bullshit. Like, you're religious. We're all born in sin. We're all sinners.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. The question is, how bad are you? Are you hurting people constantly? Are you doing it on purpose? Or is it just ignorance? Like, what's actually going on? Were you out of control? Was it your obsessive thinking and thoughts that made you do some of these things, and then your just mental health tanked, and then you lashed out?
Mm-hmm.
That's tend to where it goes when it starts to get more religious with me is, am I a bad person? I'm like, well, if you're a bad person, I'm going straight to hell. And so that's when I'll sprinkle that in with people. I said, I've done bad things. We've all done bad things. Doesn't make me a bad person. And I've said this in the pod many of times. That's when the God thing will come up the most, because they're worried. They're going upstairs. They're going downstairs. A lot of funny business happening downstairs.
Jesus. So, all right. So, last question before we get into the diagnosis. What do you think is going to, how do you think Barry's going to end?
Oh, he's going straight to hell. I'm sorry, bro. He don't went too far with all the murdering and killing. I don't care how traumatized you are. Fucking you.
Yeah, no, his body
he's
count
a good
is,
person. Yeah, it's
going up.
Yeah, no, you ain't did. He ain't did enough good shit. Going to acting class and getting a girlfriend doesn't erase all the murder.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I see him probably dying at the end too.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to hell if he does die. I don't really think that you can end this on a happy note. I don't know if it should end on a happy note.
But that's the thing. It's kind of like Dexter. It's like I hope they end it well, because going back to Dexter was an awesome show, but then the ending was so garbage. It was so garbage because they should have ended it with him, dying or whatever. But they didn't, and so I hope they do it well in this. And yeah, I mean, I wonder how he's going to get out of prison, because it doesn't look like he can. And the way Gene kind of set him up to be, to actually go to prison and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm like, is he now is he going to hate Gene for doing that, for betraying him? Or is he going to be like, I understand what you did. I understand.
And I don't think that he'll take his own life. I think that, he'll either live or he'll die.
Because he could have taken his own life way before this.
And I don't see why anyone would kill him in prison unless he was part of one of the gangs that messed up things. But we'll see. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of twists and turns, because it always is. But if we're talking about him on the beach, specifically in the metaphor, there's no way.
No.
There's no way.
All those bodies on the beach.
All the pain, right? He killed his friend, and then his dad killed himself, and there's too much pain.
Well, and we talk about redemption and stuff. It's like, what has he really done to kind of redeem it all? And he kept killing even after he's like, okay, after this one, that's it, no more killing. And then he kept on doing it.
It's a dog off a leash. And so I'm not gonna lie, I sometimes I feel like, I've definitely made up for any stupid transgression I had, or any stupid bullying, or picking on, or stupid little schemes, which I will not go into. I've made up for those a million times over. I've done so much good that I've made up for pops and moms. And so part of me is like, I wonder if I can take my tab, add it to theirs. I don't think it works like that, but part of me is like,
interesting thing. You say that.
I think about it all the time. I'm like, my score is pretty good. So I feel like if I can shed some coin, because maybe they produced me, then maybe that can buy them a ticket. Then also, we might just be a video game that aliens are playing for fun. I don't know who the fuck wanted to play mine, a bald, fat Mexican Arab.
Like, I got this bald one again.
Yeah,
God damn it.
He's eating again.
He just won't. I'm trying to put down the sandwich. He won't do it.
Yeah.
Just keeps
and now it's like, well, we'll give him medicine to where he can't fucking eat anymore, and he literally gets the bubble guts. So
he's throwing up again.
Yeah. Let's see if he can hold his pizza down. No, he can't.
Jesus. We're all just part of the Sims.
I'm telling you, I'm part of me is like found comfort in thinking that we are a simulation.
Because then it's not really our choice. It's something else beyond us.
Yeah.
It's our choices, motherfucker. We
I
gotta
know.
live with it.
Ah, fuck you. Well, that asteroid's coming in 2045 and we'll all be gone, so it's fine.
All right, motherfucker. All right, diagnosis for Barry.
Okay. Well, 2045 people. They're like, who? President? No, asteroid.
Oh my god. Jesus.
You sons of bitches. Deuce.
Instead of hope, it's like no hope.
Oh yeah. Ever since I seen that article on fucking whatever weird internet thing, I was like, yes.
Yes, burn it all. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so tired. All right. Diagnosis. Dude definitely got autism. 100%. The things that he's doing now and all that other scandalous stuff, that is not part of autism. His neuropathology, the way he works, operates, communicates, experiences things, emotions, that's all neurodivergent. I would assume that there's also probably a hint of OCD in there. There's a hint of generalized anxiety in there, but is not expressed. And obviously the depression is in there as well. So there's multiple mental health things that are in there. We could say that he has some social anxiety. I would assume that he does. And we could say that he has PTSD. So he's got a lot of trauma in there. I don't know if he has where he's re-experiencing it through his body or his mind. I'm not sure if he's actually re-experiencing it that much, so I won't say PTSD, but he definitely has trauma.
Yeah, definitely trauma, I think, because he doesn't seem like he kind of is guilty for what he does, and kind of does have like the flashbacks, but it's not like sporadic or anything like that. No, it's more of like him bringing up something. Yeah,
he's not having any emotional like breakdowns, physiological, being overstimulated, hypervigilant. He's not having any like looking behind. Yeah, so PTSD is off the table, but he's definitely has trauma that's coursing through him. Okay. And then he has all the different neurodivergent things that are coursing through him. Right. Therapy for an individual, take away all the murder. I feel like we're doing that every podcast now. Take away all the murder.
We don't condone murdering.
Yeah, well, yes, we do not condone murder. Obviously, therapy. Someone like this needs to be in therapy. He needs to talk about his relationship with his girlfriend, his friends, his schooling. He needs to work on his interpersonal skills and connecting, bonding, verbalizing. Definitely needs to work on just healthy relationships just in general and understand what is and is not appropriate. So everyone that's using and manipulating him, it's fucked up. He's actually very traumatized and doesn't even understand it.
Yeah. I would also say that he would need somebody kind of like you, like fighting him on stuff, because 100%. Barry, he seems like the type of dude that would be like, yeah, everything's fine, and then it's just like completely a disaster.
He does it all the time in the show. Everything's fine. I'm like,
exactly, and that's the thing. I think he would do the same shit with a therapist. He wouldn't open up. Like, you really have to connect with him on some level, which it's like seems almost impossible to do. It's not impossible, but it's possible to do it because Gene does it. But like, I feel like he would just be lying to the therapist and be like, yeah, everything's fine, everything's cool. But in reality, he's breaking fuck down.
Correct. He would need, wasn't he taking pills or like for something like that at one point in time during the movie? He was having panic attacks. I think he was.
Yeah. I think in the third season, he was really having panic attacks.
Yeah. I feel like there was this, where he was on a cliff trying to shoot someone in a house. And I feel like he had a panic attack during that.
I can't remember.
Huh. Yeah, I think maybe he was. But he would need someone pushing, someone that asks really good in-depth questions and doesn't let him get away with any BS. Like, oh, everything's fine. Like, no, let's extrapolate.
Right.
They get to talking. Let's strap it on.
If anybody on the podcast doesn't know, that was me slapping my forehead.
Slapping that thing. Okay. So, someone like this is going to have a lot of self-sabotage issues. They are going to get into some shady shit and breakups and unhealthy relationships because they feel like shit. There's going to be so much self-sabotage. They're going to end up blocking their happiness and joy so much, and then you just keep murdering. So,
murder.
That's the biggest things. Someone like him, probably medication and antidepressant, OCD, an anti-anxiety med. Same thing, SSRI, to get his mind to calm down and relax. Maybe that can help him with his emotional and cognitive like processing.
Yeah.
Probably needs a new job. So we need to look at some research for a new job.
It's weird because he had like a part-time job at like Lululemon, which is hilarious because he's just working at Lululemon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Also, I would say with this, it kind of feels like anytime that he's put in a position to kill somebody, it's an automatic thing. It's automatic. Like he has to do it. Like, right. He doesn't think about it. He just does it.
Yep.
When we go back to him shooting Chris, it was even though he had plenty of time to think about it because it was a longer scene, plenty of time. It was kind of a reactive thing, like, oh, he said this, so I have to do this.
Oh,
if
he
he
already
would have
knows
said this, I would have done this.
I literally just did this. I told you about this during the break when we were talking. I literally just did this yesterday with Colin. Something happened. My brain was like, well, this is the next step. And I didn't use any emotional reasoning before I brought something up. And I was just like, this is the next step. And everyone's like, why are you talking about this? I'm like, this is the next step.
Right.
So it happens. It's no divergent thing too. We go into action. We go into solutions very quickly. So different job, some resources to help him with job, more connection, making sure he's getting involved in the community. Obviously, he likes the community-based stuff.
Yeah.
And so you would make sure that can happen. And then working through his social anxiety and ineptitudes. The next thing is just working majorly on emotional understanding.
Right.
Who he is, what's his personality, is he a good person, is he a bad person? We would have to work through all of that. Specifically, if he wants to be in a healthy relationship, he's going to need to be able to communicate, or he's going to have to find a partner that understands his communication, but he will have to verbalize that is his communication, and thus they can accept it or decline it. So he is going to need a therapist, possible meds, jobs, resources, human connection. So a social worker would be perfect for him because they can connect him with everything. A psychologist will probably just say that he's fucking crazy, say that he's personality disordered, send him on his way with a prescription. Social worker is going to break down a ton of stuff. And if he was to see me, I'd be like, so you're autistic.
So put the gun down. First of all, put the gun down. No more of that.
Put the gun down.
No more of that.
Yep. And I'll take 10% of every murder because I'll snitch your ass out. Pause real quick. So every time any of my students are getting ready to graduate, I'm like, yeah, so you can I get that 10% now or when? And then what you talking about? I'm like, oh, you about to graduate, you just got that job, right? Yeah, I get 10%. And they're like, well, I ain't got no money. I'm like, well, you can give me 10% right now up front of whatever you want, whatever the salary is, or I can take 10% over the life of your contract. So, I mean, it's up to you.
You're like fucking Rumpelstiltskin with your fucking deals. You're like, so, I helped you out with the golden thread, so I get your first child.
Yep.
Yeah.
10%? It's not that bad. Some of my students would look at me and they're like, okay, Nas. I'm like, I'm cashing this shit in. Like, I'm going to come at your house and be like, knock, knock, knock.
The thing is, instead of like being like, oh, you have to guess my name, you're like, guess what race I am. You don't know. Am I Polynesian? Am I just Mexican?
Stab.
Oh, he's Mexican. He's Mexican. He's Mexican.
He's Mexican. I love using that for my neurodivergent students, man. They'd be like, so you gonna take 10%? I'm like, yep. And you just stare at them so they think you're super serious.
Motherfucker, you be rich as shit by now.
I know. Fucking bastards. Ungrateful sons of bitches.
All right.
All right. So that was the diagnosis treatment plan.
Yeah.
Lots of talking, lots of therapy, lots of help resources. I assume we're going to need to talk about his family and upbringing as well. There's going to have to be a lot of growth and emotion, intimacy.
Yeah, I hope maybe in the last season they kind of talk about his parents, because they don't really talk about him much, I don't think.
Yep.
So that'd be cool if they did that. But yes, so thank you everybody for watching. Also, I think this is a show where we would come back to it because there's so many layers, so many different characters that we can touch on. We haven't even really gone into NoHo Hank, or I think that'd be a great topic. And then his girlfriend, of course.
Fun one.
Oof.
Yeah.
Terrible. And then the new season starts on April 16th, so this Sunday. So I'm going to be watching. Once again, thank you everybody for watching. Go visit our website, check out our podcast on every streaming service, check out our merch that I'm wearing right now. This is the coordinates hoodie.
We got it. Piece of cheese.
Yep, that's right. It's the most beautiful piece of cheese you ever seen.
Right on the nipple.
I love that Gouda.
I love that Havarti.
You know you're fucking fat when you know so many fucking cheeses.
I know a lot of cheeses. I'm thinking about cheese right
so
now.
many cheeses.
Oh my god! In the Murder Mystery 2, Adam Sandler's just eating a brick of cheese the entire time. It's fucking hilarious.
I watched that. That shit was actually pretty funny.
I got a
like
couple
that.
scenes recorded. We can maybe do it.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you everybody once again. Donations, you can go on YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. That would be very helpful. We would appreciate it very much. Yeah, I think that's all I got. So thank you everybody, and see you next time.
All right, people. Much love. Peace.
Different Spectrums Podcast.
Bye.